Hi and welcome to the Thrunite channel. So in today's video we're going to be focusing on the new Thrunite TT20. We're going to be comparing that to a couple popular models from other brands here. On the left we have the Olight Warrior 3S, then we have the Fenix PD36R, and on the end here we have the Nitecore P10i. So I just want to go over the price tags on these flashlights as well as their highest output so you can see what they're capable of. So starting from left to right, this Thrunite TT20. These are selling for $75.95 currently. They have a high output of 2,526 lumens. All right, next up is the Olight Warrior 3S. These are currently going for $119.95, and the highest output on this is 2,300 lumens. All right, next we have the Fenix PD36R. Current price tag is about $99.95. This is a little bit all over the place, just depends on where you're looking. But a lot of these prices I use are from Amazon. The high output on this one is 1,700 lumens. And the last one here, the Nitecore P10i, current price tag is $79.95. And this has a high output of 1,800 lumens. So first off, we have the Thrunite TT20. We have a side switch here as well as a tail switch. All right, this also has wings, so it's able to tail stand, which is a nice feature. All right, this has a 2-position removable pocket clip as well. All right, the side switch here is to change the mode, so you can turn it on with the tail switch and then cycle through the modes. So the very lowest one here, which you can barely see, is the moonlight mode. That has the longest runtime. Then we have low, medium, high, and turbo. If you push and hold, we do have the strobe mode. If you have any kind of issues with flashing lights, you can skip ahead for a moment. But push and hold, and there's strobe. All right. But very cool, very simple, straightforward light. There is a charging port on the side, which is a USB Type-C. However, you can also, in this case, charge directly to the battery, which is a 21700 lithium-ion battery, a 5,000 milliamp hour. All right, so there's a charging port as well directly on the battery. Just kind of a nice option. But that is pretty much it. That is the TT20. All right, again, 2,526 lumen capability on that guy. All right, so next up here is the Olight. This is the Warrior 3S. All right, so we see we have a side switch as well as a tail switch. This also has a removable 2-position clip. The tail switch has a magnetic charging. All right, so you turn on the tail switch. You see the side switch does have some indicators. On the left here is the output level. There's 4 different LED indicators, and on the right is the power level. There's also 4 LED indicators. All right, so using that side switch, you can change the different modes here by pushing and holding. So low, medium, high. This also has a temporary on mode, so it's a long press. All right, so when you let go, it'll automatically shut off. If we take our tail cap off here, we can take a look at the battery source for this guy. This is a 21700. All right, this one is 5,000 milliamp hour. There is no charging port on the battery itself, just on the flashlight case, all right, or the body. All right, next up here is the Fenix PD36R. You can see we do have a side switch, which is copper. We also have the tail switch. This does have the fins, all right, but I don't know if you could tell that button protrudes past that, so it does not tail stand, unfortunately. This one also has a 2-position removable clip, all right. So you can use the tail switch, turn it on. We can see do have a battery indicator. This one's a little bit low, so this one will have to get charged before we do our demo. You want to individually push. You're not going to push and hold on this guy. That's going to actually put us into our strobe mode, which I'll show you in a minute, but you individually click to change the modes, all right. So we have low, or super low, rather, low, medium, high, all right, and our turbo. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, strobe mode is a long press on the side switch, so if you want to skip ahead, if you have a problem with flashing lights, push and hold, you can see we have our strobe. Now what's nice about the Fenix is we do have 2 different frequencies for strobe. All right, so we have a lower frequency or a shorter pulse and then a real fast pulse. All right, that alternates back and forth. I actually do prefer that quite a bit for any kind of self-defense type situations, because both animals and humans, even though strobe is very distracting, your eyes can adjust to it, and it makes it harder for your eyes to adjust. So it really just depends on how low the light is If it's really dark out, like, you know, nighttime dark, it doesn't really matter. The strobe is extremely distracting, and that's the whole point of the mode, you know, is to get people's attention and or use for self-defense. So if you want to draw attention to yourself, you would put on strobe at night, everyone would see it, and vice versa. If someone is a threat to you or an animal is a threat to you, you would put on strobe to distract them so they can't see where you are. So interesting to have two different frequencies though. So, and once you unscrew the head, we can access our battery, which is also a 21700, all right, 5000 milliamp hour. All right, and last up here is the Nitecore P10i. This is an interesting light, just a different kind of UI. If you look, there's no side switch at all. There is a LED indicator for power. All right, there's a tail switch turn on. Once turned on, you do have a power indicator, which is nice. All right, and there's our charging port. But we basically just have this one protruding button, and then this flat area here is actually a secondary button. So when the flashlight is off, this is a dedicated strobe mode. Okay, so when you push this, its strobe will come on. Again, just skip ahead if you have a problem with flashing lights, but I'll give you a quick demo. There you go. So it's very tactical in that sense, so that you don't have to go through different modes. If you want strobe, it's right there. It's its own button, right? But our main flashlight that you're probably going to be using more often is the longer button. So once that's on, the strobe button then becomes our mode select. All right, so individual clicks to change between low, medium, and high. All right, which is very nice. All right, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's really straightforward. You can see there is a single position removable clip on this guy. As far as the battery source, and pop off the tail cap. Take a look at that. And you can see also 21700. This one's a 4000 milliamp hour. All right, so whoops, make sure you pop this in the right direction. Although most modern flashlights do have reverse polarity protection, so if you put your battery in the wrong way, it shouldn't be a problem, but not always the case. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's very straightforward, just a different type design. And again, this Nitecore P10i has a maximum output of 1800 lumens. All right, so let's take a look at the beam shots for these lights. All right, guys, so first up here is the TT20. All right, just gonna go up and down, left and right. Again, just to give a comparison between all the flashlights here. Next up is the Olight Warrior 3S. And next up, the Fenix PD36R. And last up, the Nitecore P10i. All right, and for this demo, I'm about 40 feet or so from this shed. All right, just for reference. All right, so as far as price goes, the most expensive on the table is the Olight Warrior 3S. I do like the, you know, advantage of the magnetic charging. I think it's just kind of convenient. Now, for people who are always looking for value in a flashlight, this one again is 2300 lumens. This one here is 2500 lumens. $120, $76. So it's a much cheaper price tag, and you actually do get more light. You just get different features. So, you know, sometimes it comes down to preference. I happen to like the Nitecore P10i. Again, that dedicated strobe button is just super cool to me, but I don't like the fact this can't tail stand. That one big button sticking out there, I mean, to me, it's just begging to get poked or accidentally goes on in a bag or something like that. So, again, total preference. It depends on how you're carrying it, when you're using it. I do like the features on that, but I definitely value a flashlight that can tail stand. This is the only one on the table that can do that. So that's important to me. Fenix, I've always liked the brand Fenix. I think they make, you know, fantastic quality flashlights. It's just the UIs are usually a little bit different, stuff that I'm not personally used to. Of course, if that's a brand that you frequently use, you might just get used to that. But again, as far as value goes, it goes to the TT20 in this particular lineup, but I think you can't go wrong with any of these. These are 4 wonderful quality flashlights. So that's it for this one. If you guys are new to the Thrunite channel, they do free giveaways of products all the time. If you want to enter, all you have to do is comment on these videos and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.